Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a 3-part corset top. If you are just joining us, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video. Let's get right into our tutorial. So for a start, we'll be starting with the front pattern. We'll mark out our bust points on the bust and waistline. For mine, I used 10 inches for my bust point, 13 inches for my under bust, and 17 inches for my waistline. So after marking the points on our paper, the next thing to do is to connect it with a straight line using our rule. All you need to do is connect the points carefully, just as you see me doing in this video. I've connected the bust points. This is the on the bust, and then the next will be the waist line. Please, if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell because I have a lot of videos coming up on this channel. After connecting a point, next thing you want to do is to label the point so you don't get confused. The first point is the bust point, the second point is the under bust, and the last is the waist line. So after connecting the point, the next thing we'll be doing is to take our shoulder measurement. Mine is 14 divided by 2, which is 7. I placed that on that point, and then the next thing I did was to come down from the shoulder by 1 inch. From that line where we marked the 7, I came down by 1 inch. So we are just going to create our shoulder slope. I marked 3 inches for the neckline, and then I slanted from that 1 inch I came down by on the shoulder line to that point to create our shoulder slope. The next thing to do is take our armhole measurement. I came down from the shoulder slope by 7 inches. So this is me confirming the point, so I'd extend my armhole measurement. The next thing I did was to also confirm my shoulder measurement with 7 inches, and then I connected the points from the shoulder slope down to the armhole like so. Just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. The next thing I did was to extend the armhole line using my rule. I extended the line. Next thing to do is to create the front armhole. We're going to measure what we have on our armhole, which is 7 inches. We're going to divide it by 2. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. We are just going to mark that point on the armhole. Just watch carefully where the tape is placed, and then we are going to go in by ½ inch. That's to create our front armhole. So the next thing to do is to take the bust measurement on the chest line. My bust measurement is 32 divided by 4. I mark that down on the chest line, and then I use my curve rule to connect the points. Carefully watch what I'm doing so you understand. So the next thing I did was to mark out the neckline. This is not necessary. We are not going to be using the upper part because we're not using a yoke for this, but if you want to use a yoke, you can do this step. So the next thing to do is to mark out our nipple to nipple measurements. I was just extending the line. The next thing to do is to mark out our nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I marked that on the bust point, on the under bust, and also on the waist line. So I'm going to connect it with my rule. Connect the points. Carefully connect the points. After connecting the points, the next thing to do is to take ½ inch on each side of that leg on the waist line. Then we're also going to come down by 1 inch from the bust point. 1 inch from the bust point, and then we are going to connect the ½ inch we came out from the that legs to that 1 inch we came down on the bust point. Just watch what I'm doing. Please guys, don't forget to subscribe and also turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video, and also give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. So after connecting the points, the next thing we are going to do is to mark the difference between our bust point and under bust. As you can see, mine is 3 inches. The difference from your bust point to your under bust, you're going to mark that, and then you mark it round. Just watch what I'm doing carefully. I'm just going to mark it round with the tape placed on the bust point on our dart line. You're going to place the tape on the bust point on the dart line, as you can see. So you're going to take it around carefully. This is actually going to be a slow process. This particular part of the video is sped up. That's why you can see it moving fast. You need to be careful and take this slowly. You're just going to mark that round. So I marked 3 inches round, and then after marking the 3 inches round, the next thing we are going to do is to measure the shoulder line. You can see the part I'm measuring. I got 4 there, so I divided it by 2 to get 2 inches. I marked that point, so I'm just going to connect it from that point to my bust point using my rule. Just watch carefully to understand better. So I connected the points from that shoulder point to my bust point. The next thing I did was to measure ½ inch from that line. You can see where my tape is placed. From the dot line, I measured ½ inch out, and then I connected straight down to the waistline. As you can see me doing, just watch carefully, you understand. So after marking that, the next thing to do is to connect this point using our curve rule. You can also use your free hand to do this. So we are going to connect the point to the 1 inch we came down by initially on our bust point using our curve rule. You can use your free hand for this. We are going to connect both sides. After connecting the both sides, the next thing we are going to do is to take what we have in between our darts on the under bust. I got about 1.5 inch, so I'm going to be using 1.5 inch. So I'll place ½ inch on the side going towards the center. Please watch carefully how the tape is placed, and then 1 inch on the side going towards the side. Please, I place the tape on that line we took from the shoulder to the bust point initially. Please just watch carefully so you understand. The next thing to do is to connect with our rule. You can see as the way I'm connecting it, I'm connecting to the bust point. I connected both points to the bust point. This is how it looks. The next thing to do is to go out by 1/4 inch on both sides. This is to avoid gaping. So we are just going to go out by 1/4 inch on both sides. Please just watch carefully, and then we are going to connect it using our rule. We are connecting it back into the line. We are just blending it in, okay? So you carefully blend in. After blending it in, this is how it should look. I'm just going to use my marker to thicken the line like so. So this is how it looks after thickening the line. The next thing I did was to extend the chest line like so. That's because I want to create the neckline for this top. So I extended my chest line using the row, and then the next thing I did was to come down from the chest line by ½ inch. That is how I want my neckline to be. You can go lower if you want. So on the ½ inch point, I'm still going to go in by ½ inch, and then I'll just extend the line. And then the next thing I'll do is to use my rule to connect from the top of a circle down to the neck line where we went in by half inch. I don't know if you understand, but just watch carefully, you would understand. I just connected it like so, and then the next thing I did was also to connect from the half inch we went in by. As you can see, I placed my tip down to our underbust. Carefully connect the point. You can also use your free hand if you don't have a curved rule. Then the next thing I did was to work on the side cups. So I measured what I have on my armhole, which was 1 inch. I divided it by 2 to get half inch, and then on that point I came down by half inch. You just need to watch carefully to understand this step. And then I extended the half inch line out using my marker and rule. Then the next thing I did was to connect from the top of our circle down to the half inch I went down by. Just watch carefully to understand. So that is how it looks. The next thing to do is to also connect from the underbust back into the half inch we came down by from the armhole, like so. So yes, after doing this, we are done with our side cups. This is how it looks. The next thing we'll do is to take our round body measurements. We had already marked our bust divided by 4 down. Next thing to do is to take what we have in between our cups. I got 2 inches. I marked that down, and then I added 1.5 inch for seam allowance. You can use whichever seam allowance you are comfortable with. And then the next thing was to take the waist measurement. My waist measurement is 26. I divided it by 4. I marked it down. Then I replaced the dart on the dart legs, which was 1 inch. I replaced that, and then I added 1.5 inch for seam allowance. And then the next thing I did was to connect the point. Watch carefully how I'm connecting the point. We won't be needing the upper part, so I decided to connect the point from that line down to the waistline. If you watch carefully, you'll understand. I didn't take it up to the upper part because we are not going to be using that part. The next thing I did was to come to the cups. I measured 2 inches from that point, and then 2.5 inch at the midpoint, as you can see, and also 2.5 inch on the other side, as you can see me doing, and then 2 inches on the other side. And then I'll just use my rule to connect the points. This is going to serve as the upper part of our cup, since this is a 3-part corset. So you are just going to connect this carefully, as you can see me doing. Please don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed, and also give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. So that is all for our cups. Just going to label side cup, center cup, so we don't mix it up. Side front, center front. So the next thing to do is to just stick in the waistline so you know where we are cutting from. So you just watch carefully to see how I'm cutting this out. For this part, if you want to use a yoke, this is what you'll be using, but we will not be needing that. So you just watch carefully how I cut and take it slowly. This part is sped up, that's why it is this fast. So after cutting, I just marked those arrows to know with the points to join. So the next thing to do is to cut the upper part of the cups, and then we are going to use our tape to join this together because we'll be cutting this as one piece. I'm just marking to be sure of the parts that would be joined and then the part that will be down, so I don't mix this up. But then the next thing I'll do is to use a tape to hold these pieces together because we'll be cutting as the one piece, as I earlier stated. So after using our tape to hold this down, carefully hold this down. Watch the way I'm doing it. like so. I'm just going to place this on a fresh paper, and then I'll use my marker to trace it out, carefully trace it out, and then we are going to cut this out. We won't be needing the other part. This would be our new upper part of our cup, so we'll just cut this out. The arrow I marked is just for me to know where to join. You can use whichever sign you are comfortable with. So that's all for the front pattern. This is how we are going to arrange it. The upper part is not needed except if you want to use a yoke for your corset, so we are just going to keep that aside, and then we'll work with the back piece. For the back piece, what I did was to mark 1.5 inch on the side for zipper allowance. So I marked out 1.5 inch, and then I connected it with my rule, and then I labeled it zipper allowance. So that's what we're using for our zipper. If you want to use a zipper, if you are not using a zipper, there's another approach which I'll explain later in the video for you to understand. So the next thing I did was to place my front piece on my back piece. You can see how I placed the front piece on the zipper allowance line. So I just made sure the distance between each front piece was 1 inch. That is to enable us to take that for the back piece. So the next thing I did was to trace out the front piece. As you can see me doing, I traced it out like so. Just watch carefully the way I'm tracing it out. That is how you trace yours out also. So after tracing that out, I took out the front piece, and the next thing I'll do is to use my rule to connect the points. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. So for the neckline, if you want to go lower, you can also go lower. This is how I want mine to be. So the next thing I did was to mark 3.5 inch, which is my nipple to nipple, and then I connected it with a straight rule, a straight line. Then the next thing I did was to go up by ½ inch on both sides, and then I connected it to the upper part like so. So this is going to be our dart for the back piece. So the next thing to do is to just extend our neckline into the zipper allowance, then you cut it out. You can see how easy this back piece is. The back pattern is very easy to create. The next thing to do is to go in by ½ inch. I'm doing this to take out or reduce zipper bulge on my back piece. So I'll just blend the line in. As you can see me doing, just watch carefully so you would understand what I'm doing. I would also repeat the same step for the other side. I would go in by ½ inch and then also blend it in. So you guys, this is to reduce or take out the zipper bulge on the back piece. So the next thing I'll do is to cut out. After cutting that out, the next thing I'll do is to cut out the dart, because I want this to be a one piece. I want the back piece to be one piece, so I'll just cut out the dart, and then I will join it back. You get to see in the course of the video how I did that. So I'm just going to cut out the side like so, and then I'll join it together like this. So this is how it's going to look. The next thing I want to do is to go up by 0.75 inch like so. This is to reduce zipper bulge, so I'm just going to go up by 0.75 inch, and then I will blend that into the back piece. As you can see me doing, I'll just blend that in. Watch carefully so you would understand, and then I'll use my scissors to cut that part out. Carefully cut the part out. After cutting it out, this is how it's going to look like. So this is how it's going to look. If you don't want to use a zipper for your back piece, you can just take out 2 inches from that line. You see where my tape is placed, and then cut it out. But I'll be using a zipper for this, so that is why I added zipper allowance. The next thing I'll do is to use my tape to hold this down together, because I want to cut this back piece as a one piece. After holding it down, I'll just trim off my excess tape, and this is how the back piece is going to look like. And also, this is the front piece. That's all for the pattern drafting. Please don't forget to subscribe and also give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. The next video is going to be the sewing fashion. See you in our next video. Bye.